rock, and roll. And you know, it's funny that could be spelled different ways. It could also, if I were traditional Chinese, it might be lock and load. And you know, there's different things. We were just discussing how funny language is, and funny. I'm not meaning making fun of other language. I'm meaning that a lot of humor can be derived from the various essences and the crossovers of definitions and pronunciations and things. So that's how we started today off. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to What is the Positive? I'm going to check right now and see if we're actually broadcasting live. And we'll see. Oh, guess what? We are live. So welcome everybody. If you're in the on the event page or watching us, you'll be able to see us live during the course of the hour, 11 to 12 Pacific Standard Time, across the world right now. So anyway, I am joined today, as usual, by my three constituents and co-hosts, and introducing them now, we have Shira Hunt. And if you would come on, Shira, and tell us, everybody, about a little bit about yourself and how are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. I'm Shira, and I'm a vibrational medicine teacher and therapist. I use sound and frequency in treatment, and it's been a fun from the beginning on with this 30-day challenge thing, and I've been getting some great connections with people and questions, and so I'm having a good time with that. So thanks for having me on it.
Great. Thank you very much for being here. And next to her is George Stewart. Come on in, George, and give us a little bit of your light.
I have light? When did that happen?
Yeah, you're almost glowing as much as I was a little while ago as the sun was
sorry, I'll
shining.
put a hat on next time and protect you from the glare of my head.
Yeah, there's a window above your head behind there, and it's almost perfect for your halo.
Oh, well, I've turned it off today. Sorry. Hey, everybody, I'm George from Middle Tennessee, just south of Nashville. An 82-degree sunny day here. We're into spring, magic. And as you've guessed, I'm comic relief. I'm the counterpoint to Roland's seriousness.
Less and less as time goes on, too. I think you're rubbing off on me.
Ooh.
But anyway, our other constituent in the green room, co-host Carlos Savio. Carlos, say hi and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, everybody. Carlos Savio in Las Vegas. I'm friends with these other three people, great group of people. I'm a long-time aficionado of esoteric philosophy and the practical application of that. That's
Good.
it.
And, you know, Carlo, I've never actually asked you this, but I don't think that you're in Las Vegas as a gambler. Now, I say that. I love to play craps, okay?
Mhm.
I love the game. I built, and it's still downstairs, an entire 7-foot-long craps table. 3D, you know, it's got some guts to it, made out of some really nice plywood and finished and so forth. It's got a felt padded lining, and the only thing I don't have is the end bumpers in the side of the inside of the table. But actually, people can lean on it and play, you know, and grab a drink and set that on the lower shelf, and it's quite a thing actually. Very proud of my craps
Truth
table.
be known, I came to Las Vegas for the waters.
Ah,
There's a line in Casablanca where the inspector asked Bogey's character, "Why Algiers?" He said, "I came for the water." He said, "But we're in the desert." He goes, "I know, I was misinformed."
so what keeps you around Las Vegas? I'm just kind of curious.
I like the ambiance of Las Vegas. It is a constantly changing place. There's so much to do. It's like having the world's biggest entertainment facility outside your front door. I live maybe a mile and a half from the Strip, and it's fun to go there every once in a while. I've been known to make a wager now and then, but it doesn't own me. And so I enjoy it. Each place I've lived in many places, as most people have, and each place has their own charm. I like very much Las Vegas because we get about 300 days, 300, 50 days a year of sunshine. It was
Yeah.
either Phoenix or Las Vegas. I preferred Las Vegas.
That's where he gets his dry sense of humor from.
No, well done, well done. Cheers. Cheers. That's 2 today.
Okay.
That's 2 good ones.
Wow. I'm not going to try to top all this. Anyway, we're just learning a little bit more about our peeps in the green room.
I think George had eggs for breakfast because he's full of yolk.
Oh,
Oh, now we better taper this off a little bit. I think that we're
Okay. I'll behave.
thoroughly disintegrating as a group here. But no, that's okay. We have a 30-day challenge going on, so we're going to talk about that today. And we're also going to, in the second half of our show, actually introduce a few of our challengers and members of the challenge and bring them into the green room. Indeed, we've got a space for 6 more people, and we might fit them all basically in the green room. And but I'm thinking if we have a couple, that'd be great, because I want to ask them what they're getting out of the ongoing challenge. We are on day 15, so roughly halfway through the challenge, 2 full weeks of experiencing the process that we devised as the requirements of the challenge to make it legitimate, even though everybody chose a different focus of the challenge per person. Everyone decided what they wanted to do. So we're going to be asking them to come in and talk about their aspect of the challenge and what they're getting out of it so far. And it was interesting because Wake was saying something in the comment stream about checking the growth a little too early and constantly going back and the whole analogy of like the child who plants a plant and then pulls it up out of the ground to see if it's growing roots. And I understand that, but that is certainly not what I'm doing. And I'm actually seeing changes. And so to report the changes to me is invigorating and inspiring, and it's got me going. It's actually pushing me more into the focus of my challenge. Yeah, and Shira's saying more reinforcement and support. And so if we talk about these things and we see that in each other, we're going to join forces, and the spirit of the whole thing becomes yeah, right on. I'm cheering for my brethren and my brothers and sisters in the challenge, and by golly, we're seeing changes. And if a few of us see changes, that's proof that we can do something about our own lives, which is really the takeaway from all of this, is that if we focus on what we want and do a few things right in reinforcement of that, we can make changes in our lives. Then the question becomes, what can we change? What do we want to change? How do we reach farther, have a bigger challenge and accomplishments? And it just becomes the nature of our doing after a while. Instead of saying, well, I've got to fix these couple things about my life, we just say, we evolve to the point of, what do you want to do? What do you really want to do? What do you want to be known for? More than that, what do you want to accomplish? How do you want to express your life? And that's what we want to approach in all this. Proving the ability to make a change if we want to, and then deciding now that we know this information, how do we change what we do? How do we change what we think? What is the possibility? What indeed is the positive? How can we expand our life? So we've got a lot of things to consider here, and at the halfway mark, about 20 minutes from now, we'll be bringing some people in. But in the midst of this challenge, and we have several people, a total of about 10 people involved in the challenge at some level. And in the midst of that, we have everyone's different thinking as far as a structure about what your life is all about and what you believe. They're all different. Everybody's different. And if we can accept the fact that we can be different from everybody else, because indeed you cannot be exactly like anybody. Why would you be an individual if you could even possibly be exactly like someone else? Now let's not get into the conversation of identical twins at this point. But I mean, other than that, everyone is individually unique, and therefore we should be able to accept people, which to the majority of extent we do, because otherwise these masses of people couldn't have friends. We couldn't have groups of people who have think something similar. Um, I don't believe like-mindedness is a real term that shouldn't be. I don't know. I just don't. I don't think it's a legitimate term. Like-mindedness, basically, as a term, sucks because people use it without being like-minded. They want to be like-minded, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're getting a bunch of like-minded people together." No, you're not. I mean, basically, you want to be because you crave companionship and endorsement from somebody else. But that's not being like-minded. That's expressing that you're in need and not what it is you believe. So when you express what you believe and other people join and endorse what you are talking about, and they say, you know, I don't believe exactly the same, but I really appreciate what you're saying. That's about as like-minded as you can get. And if you get that far, you're doing pretty well. So like-mindedness is a trademark of people who can listen to each other and understand each other. So that's what we're doing in the midst of this challenge. And later on, we'll be talking about the other constituents and what indeed they are individually learning and gaining as a benefit from being in this challenge. So now I'm going to redirect our concept to a couple of terms that I believe relate directly to the concept of manifestation. This is a 30-day manifestation challenge. So the end result is going to be something like, what is it that I intend to change about myself? And indeed, looking at myself, it's very, very easy. I've got a reasonably immobile right side of my body, but I've been a guitarist since age 13. So I've been a guitarist much longer than I've been stuck in a wheelchair or without my right side. So I think that the trademarks of what my history with myself is established, I think that that could prevail over this short term here where I've been unable to play the guitar the way I used to. So basically I want to reclaim my ability to play the guitar. And you know, that's a serious challenge because either people are going to look at that and say, oh, he was faking it all along and he was just pretending that he couldn't move his right hand and all that stuff. And you know, you can talk yourself into that notion if you want, but literally I cannot reach across this table right now and pick up that guitar pick. Now, if my faith was great enough to, you know, if it was one of these things where I could conduct my own miracles, and actually I believe I can. I'm not practiced at it yet. But if I could, my right arm, in spite of the 4 years of immobility, could reach across the table, grab that pick, and then be ready for my guitar. I believe that. So, Roland, why do you believe that? What do you base your beliefs on? Well, that's a whole series. Why I believe that. That's a series. But other people have a different series about their same concepts, whether they could do something like that or not. You have your own belief system. It's like if you're listening to what I say right now, some of you are thinking, he's not going to make it. It's not going to happen. You know, and it doesn't bother me at all if you think that or believe that, but it only matters what I believe. That's all that matters. And the more and more research that I do, I conclude that everyone's reality is indeed created by them. Right to the point where if you really believe in aliens, you're probably living in an alien universe where you can see them, interact with them, and by golly, they're there right now. But if you don't believe in them, they are invisible to you. Now, maybe that's, just a really weird concept for people. But when you talk about multiple, parallel universes and multidimensional stuff, I believe that it's all possible. I'm a believer. I believe that God made the universe that way. And I believe it's far beyond what we think it is. So we're just touching the surface. So let's get to the concept of manifestation and the terms involved. The reason that I chose the quotation that I put in the details of the event, I want to go there now and read them actually. Calvin Coolidge said it best. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So what I'm going to pose to my constituents at the moment to conduct a bit of a conversation is let's talk about persistence and determination, how they are coupled together to conquer things even when it seems like we don't believe. Now the premise is this. I believe if someone in their heart, deep down inside, believes something is impossible, there is no way in hell they're going to make it work. However, if they do it anyway, if they strive to achieve it anyway, and something happens, and they have what they would deem a miracle, and they make this thing happen, and they're surprised like, wow, a miracle. I didn't believe it could happen, but it happened anyway, and it's a miracle. My premise is that deep down inside, they did not doubt 100%, that there was this fraction of a thing in the back of their mind that said, by golly, maybe it can happen. Maybe it's possible. So they have this small belief. And overcome by their persistence and determination, they made it happen. They willed it so, and they believed enough that they stuck with it. And sometimes persistence and determination will conquer absolutely anything. So what do you guys think about what I'm thinking here? Anyone have any comment on persistence and determination?
Sure. I think especially in relationship to the challenge, determination to me is the simple daily self-commitment. And this is a hard one for most people. I find that this is the biggest thing that I have to tackle with my clients and students, and it's easy to share it and tell it to somebody else, but to do it for yourself, we have kind of rote ways that we go through our daily lives, and a lot of times we don't even realize how patterned we are. And so to add something new, we really have to be diligent. It has to be, personal self-care has to become a priority. And so with the challenge, I think that that's probably one of the biggest things for people. That was why early on I said, do a little sticky note and stick it on the mirror, like where you can't miss it in the morning, the one place that you go every single morning in your bathroom to remind you I'm on the challenge. At least just right now, speak something for it. Start it somehow so that you don't forget it in the day. So that determination thing, when there's something we really, really want, it's easy. And so oftentimes a challenge is about pushing ourselves, and we want it, but it's not necessarily a priority. So it has to be a priority.
Yes. So the processing is one thing, and there's something about the repetition that I will bring up in a moment. However, I want to give George and Carlo a chance to speak up before we run over the subject personally here. So go right ahead if you have anything to add to this.
Okay.
No.
Sorry,
Okay.
George.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. The genetic unfoldment of a species, that we are human beings, is constantly determined to evolve that species. So many of the things that we do is actually being done for us. We don't have to think about how to get our heart beating. We don't have to think about doing certain things. But as relates to taking the challenge, especially in the company of peers, it enables you to measure yourself against yourself. And yes, there will be some, as I called it earlier, it sometimes, when you're trying to make those changes, it feels like you're getting the bends when you ascend too rapidly from a depth. But when you think back that a child is not born without the mother having pain, we must be ready to endure more pain to go from where we were to where we want to be.
Okay, and that's very insightful, Carlo. Thank you very much. George, did you want to add anything?
I think the one thing that struck me when you mentioned persistence and determination, the one element that I feel underpins that is faith and or belief. You call it whichever way you want. But without faith or belief, you're not going to have any persistence or determination because there's no underpinning to support it. And that's one of those, I've found that to be an experiential growth thing, that the more I walk down the pathway of working with manifestation, the more I realize that my faith and belief that it works is what underpins that persistence and determination to keep going with those affirmations and knowing, and there's the word for me, knowing that it will happen. Yes. It's not a question, it's not a maybe, it's not a want, it's already here. It's just a case of sticking with it until it manifests. See, my picture is that everything comes from high frequencies, which we can't see, and manifests down into low frequencies, which is what we see as reality. So it starts in the high frequencies. Once you set that in motion, if there was an old woodsman who said people often say they get lost because they don't go far enough. They don't keep going towards their goal. And to me, that's very much the case with affirmations. If you know it's coming, you just keep going. There's the persistence and determination.
Yes. And I wanted to add, from my perspective too, that there's an evolution, a short-term evolution that goes on in the midst of the repetition that you are each describing. And that is that, the whole concept of fake it till you make it. And I'll continue in a second. But I just wanted to let you know, the people watching, that I do see Velyn Hawkins, Misty, Roz, and WeWake are out there, and they're commenting. They're stuck without an opportunity to comment in the comment stream. So Hangouts has its problems today, and I realize that. Don't try to fix it. I think it's inherent to the actual setup, because I couldn't get comment tracker working either. So anyway, we're not going to worry about that. I'm going to invite you all into the green room in a few moments, and we will all be in here talking live. And as chaotic as that might be, we're gonna go for it. But anyway, the concept of fake it till you make it. I think it's a matter of degrees with things. Sometimes the thing stopping you from achieving what you want to achieve is the negative. I mean, not even sometimes. It's always this. It's always this. It's the negative energy that is inherent to your being as you're striving to accomplish what you want to accomplish. In other words, you think, gee, I want the red car, right? Gee, I'm going to work hard to get it, and maybe this can happen, maybe that could happen. Yeah, but maybe these negative things could happen too, or maybe nothing will happen and I'm not going to get this car. And the whole concept behind the negative doubt overweighs the positive opportunities and the possibilities. Therefore, it kills the birth of this experience in your life. However, there are times when your insistence that, no, by God, I want this thing and I don't care how hard it's going to be, I want it. And that alone may be enough to dominate the attraction so that it brings it into your life. And that's, go ahead, Shira.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Roland, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, a lot of times what you're speaking to, it's not only so much that they just have this strong perseverance for a second, But when you really want something, what you will find is that it will kind of pervade your day. It'll show up. It'll keep coming up. You'll keep reconnecting with it. And it's that very thing that is bringing the outcome. It's like that's why if, let's say you focus for 10 minutes in the morning, which is why we say do the tracks at night because you get more work out of them. But let's say you're focused for 10 minutes in the morning and you're bringing this thing that you want really strongly, and then you get up and you go to work and you get into your patterns, and the day goes like it always goes. Your mind is in the negative stuff. Your mind is in what you don't have. Your mind is in, I got to get this done. Your mind is in everywhere except on that thing that you wanted. And so that's what you're saying when you say that the negative thing is more powerful. It's more powerful because it's more persistent. There's more of it because that's what's in the unconscious. Yeah, that's what's in the unconscious. And so, and that's the thing. We said this very early on, I think on the first show. If you want to know what's in your unconscious, take a look at your world. Whatever is showing up in your world, this is the frequency you're putting out there. So if you don't have something you want, or your world looks like lacking money, or you don't have the house you want to live in, that's what's in your unconscious. And so that's the thing that has to be changed. And the biggest thing that we have to work with that is repetition. That's the biggest tool we have. It's either that or trauma. That's what changes the unconscious. And I personally don't want to go the traumatic route again, so I'm picking the repetition. So.
Yeah. Well, and you have identified the one thing and the reason that this show exists. The concept of the polarity of positivity and negativity. Basically, you just have to be ready to choose the positive and look the positive direction. And if you are, then more and more of what you put out there, exuding from your being, will be a positive vibration. And I've heard it said time and time again that just being happy is enough. In other words, if you could just be in a happy vibration, then everything that you wanted along with that vibration would be positive, and you would have everything that you want. Now, that sounds like a fairy tale, but it's freaking true.
Hey, Roland?
Yes, sir.
There's one thing I remember hearing say, that if you stick solely to what you know, and you can figure out from your experience to choose what you want, you're cutting out so much from the universe's beneficence that if you just stay in that happy, high-frequency state and let everything, life come to you, you're going to get far, far more than you can ever imagine.
Right. And if you think, if my consciousness was unlimited in my own creativity, what could I create with that? If I was unlimited and unhindered, there's no telling. And if we believe that we are divine human beings and we have divinity and the power gifted by God, of God, then what can't we do? What is it that we cannot do if that's the real deal? What can we do? So I'm going to turn the conversation over to the three of you to let you kick this around. The concept I want you to kick around is simply this. If we focus on what is, this is exactly what you were getting at, I think, George. If we focus on what is, we miss what can be. So we'll explore that for a few minutes, and while you're doing that, I'm going to invite everybody into the green room. So you guys are on your own for about 3 or 4 minutes.
The teacher's gone, we can play now, children.
That's right.
Everybody went quiet.
So what exactly are we discussing? Bring it on, Carlo.
Okay, we're discussing, okay, here's a concept. When the three of us, the four of us have already talked about the idea that negative self-taught limits. The only limitations we have is the limitations we set on ourselves. And there's a quotation I like. It says, "The phrases that mankind repeats ossify the organs of intelligence," which you're reprogramming yourself. A computer will always go to completion. So if you keep telling the mind that I'm suffering from an abundance of lack, as you said earlier, Shira, you then continue to suffer from an abundance of lack.
Exactly.
But if you believe within your own divinity, in a non-sectarian sense, that you're entitled to those things, you will reach towards them. And yes, there will be a little pain, but all growth is painful. That's my
Yeah.
take.
And oftentimes the pain is self-inflicted.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I watched an episode of The Sopranos where Tony Soprano says to Melfi, Dr. Melfi, the psychiatrist, says, I find I'm my own worst enemy. And she turns to him quietly and she says, now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's typically true of all of us, even though we're not aware of it. We've learned the condemnation very young, because as children we are told no so many times, we are corrected so many times, we are told that we have to become somebody, we have to get a title, we have to grow up, and hello everybody, and ultimately that is one of the hidden patterns that comes up to haunt us when we are trying to accomplish something. Is that's one of those that will just keep kind of pulling us down over and over again, that we have to become aware of, and we have to do something daily to affect it.
Okay, so we are inviting a couple people into the green room. Welcome to We Wake and Roz. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Roz. Hey, namaste.
Namaste.
So I
Can I
will
say hi?
start. And by the way, we may get Misty. Oh, so Misty can't make it.
Just
So
got
most-
to
Hey,
turn that
Ross,
off.
I'll stand in for Misty. Hang on a minute.
I had to turn off my
How's that?
something.
Is that better?
Right, are we right?
A surrogate stand-in for Misty for a moment there, and
Let's get a reboot her machine.
okay. Anyway,
Okay.
let's focus on We Wake for a moment. He was the first one to start this. He started about 4 or 5 days before the first of the month and was doing his challenge from then. So he's got a few days on everybody. But We Wake, tell us about what you're doing and what you're experiencing.
Yeah, my challenge has been to meditate every day, walk for an hour every day.
An hour?
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Then say the affirmations, listen to music from Shira, go to sleep at night. So in two parts. I mean, the first is meditation, walk during the day, and then affirmations and music at night before bed.
And remind us a bit what your affirmations are.
Oh, there they are.
Look at you.
Show off.
So you've got a lot to step up to, Roz. I hope you've got the same layout ready. And no, I'm just kidding. I'm not even ready for that.
No.
I am meditating. Let's see, go ahead and show that. Let me white box you.
I am meditating every day, and I am divine, experiencing human life.
Beautiful.
I am walking an hour every day. What I am alive for.
Beautiful.
Very good. So those are great affirmations, and it's kind of funny. Your second one there, I am divine experience of human life, is what my first 6 affirmations are all describing the very same thing. Basically convincing myself that I am, the description of I am and the aspects of what that extrapolates out to be. What does it mean in my life? My 6 affirmations, and I'll state them later, are reinforcing that. And then I've got 3 that are specifically on the playing guitar part. So that's just how I did it. So Roz, your turn to bring you on to the thing challenging. What is it that you are going for? What is your experience?
Can you actually see me? I'm not turning up as a video as I'm
We see you.
on here. It feels really weird. The whole getting into this hangout on air was quite different this time, so it's actually phased me a tad. I've only just started to actually get into the challenge probably the last 3-4 nights. I think I've been able to play the actual tracks. I've had issues. I've got a Mac and I've got an iPad and I've got an iPhone and I've got a PC type laptop, and trying to get those tracks from a Dropbox into something that'll play through the night has been very challenging. So I've only been doing it the last 3-4 nights, and to find what my actual challenge was that was the original one, I actually found that 2 days ago. So as per change, I think really the change for me so far in not having that consistency of 15 days yet has been mainly with actually the determination. I'm going to find a way, half gritting the teeth, I'm going to find a way to actually get this set up so that, okay, I'm going to have an extra 15 days after it's officially finished, but we never really finished anyway. So keeping up with, not keeping up with, mine is to do with actually just practicing the singing, using the voice as toning and that sort of thing, because I've done some work with sound therapy myself as well. That's why I'm so drawn to Shira, and the using that in different ways. So it just came up that something out of the blue with doing a half-hour massage on someone's back, and I had to let my voice out. So it was a really different massage in that I was toning over this person's body, and the release that they felt and all the healing that occurred with that, it was on just so many different levels. So I figured that was actually a result of the start of the challenge for me in doing that. And walking along our beach was one of the other. I set 3 little challenges. On the sandy part that's really hard to walk on, well, I sprained my foot, so that's going to be delayed. And I don't think I was meant to do that one. And now I can't remember the third one. Doesn't matter. But I'm in progress, as we all are.
So, can I ask Ross a question?
Yeah.
So Ross, I'm curious. Since you're taking on the whole sounding piece, at the end of the challenge, are you going to do a sounding piece for us as kind of your completion?
Oh, you never know. What? I can. So
cool.
I'll add that into that challenge list.
Well, we're going to hold you to that, and that'll be great. One of the things that I am well aware of from my perspective and my experience with this challenge is that we intend something initially, and we go, "This is what I want to do." Well, I really want to play my guitar. I'm gonna do it. I've managed to get it under my arm a couple times, and what I experienced so far is that my arm snaps across the front of the guitar and holds the strings so they can't vibrate the way they're supposed to, But that's so far, and just getting the feel of the guitar under my arm and in position is a great feeling. And so what I do is in my visualizations, which I call visual motor rehearsal, I am imagining myself plucking the guitar. And this, I'm also adding to this the emotion, the feeling of, by golly, this feels so good. I love playing my guitar. I love the sound of my guitar, and I love chording. I love plucking. I love picking notes and expressing myself with my guitar. So I'm dwelling in that feeling and the essence of loving my guitar. So that's the focus. But the funny thing is, my right leg is coming alive.
Also, can you play your guitar with your toes rolling?
I think it might be faster than trying to play with my hand. I don't know. But the funny thing is, when I had what is called a TIA, a transient ischemic attack, almost exactly 1 year ago, This is 3 years ago I had my stroke to put me in, 4 years ago that I had my stroke to put me in the wheelchair. And 1 year ago I had the TIA, which put me back deeper in the wheelchair. But the thing I gained, interestingly, was that my blood pressure evened out. I had high blood pressure for years. I'm talking about a decade and a half, high blood pressure. And suddenly my blood pressure was 125/85. And those of you who know blood pressure would say, well, that's damn good. That's pretty good considering. And it's for me, it's more than normal. I've never had blood pressure that low. But I checked my blood pressure a couple times. It's like, what the hell? It's 125/85, but I couldn't do that with all the meds that I was taking and everything else. It would not lower my blood pressure to that. It was always 145 over close to 100. So those of you, again, that know blood pressure know that that's basically like a time bomb ticking. And, it's very precarious. So, and that's not as high as it was. Without the meds before, and what caused my stroke was contributed by a blood pressure that was 165 or almost 170 over 140. So it's like at any moment I could just topple over, And so I'm glad to be here as it is, but my blood pressure was even out. And also my sugar level, because I'm borderline diabetic, type 2 diabetic, came down from, up in the 130s or so, down to like 105. And, it's like, what the hell? I don't want to have another stroke to get myself better than I am. But, part of the TIA a year ago is it left me very weak. So even though my blood pressure and my sugar level were both more in line, I was very weak. I could no longer stand. And when I say stand, it's usually like the pole that I have rooted to the side of my bed in my mattress. I would grab that and I would stand up and, basically just using it with my left hand to balance me. I could stand there. But after my TIA, I could not do that anymore. I would have fallen right on my ass. And the right leg basically was unresponsive and totally unsupportive. So I basically, I balanced on my left leg. So getting in and out of the wheelchair or whatever, I would balance on my left leg. Now, at this point right now, I can stand, I can shift my weight to my right leg, and this has happened over the last month because I've been listening to Shira's vibrational therapy soundtracks for about 6 or 8 months now. So I've been at it for a while. But as far as the affirmations and the change, the determined change in my thinking, this last month is it. And in moving into the challenge and determining what I was going to challenge myself to do, basically I really stepped up in spirit, if you know what I mean. When you take on a challenge like this, it's like, am I going to do it or am I not going to do it? Do I want to do something that radical, or what if I don't make it? What could happen? So I'm just going to cast my fate to the wind and saying, I'm just going to do it. Because one way or the other, I'm going to play my guitar. So nothing's stopping me from that. But in the midst of this, I'm beginning to walk again. I can stand up for an extended period of time. I can lean against the side of my bed and change my own clothes, get my pants on. You know how hard it is to get your pants on when your leg doesn't work? And your same corresponding hand on the same side doesn't work. That makes it a bit of a challenge. But anyway, I can stand long enough to get not one but 2 sets of underwear on. I won't explain why I do that, but basically, you're sitting in a wheelchair all day. It's like it's better to have a little bit of layers of cotton there. So anyway, I'm divulging more than I intended to.
Probably more information than we need.
Yeah. TMI. I know. But between those things and also a pair of shorts, I love gym shorts because they're big and baggy and they're loose and they don't have, easy to work with. But that's 3 things on my legs and up to my waist that I'm getting on left-handed by myself. And when I do that, I've got to let go of the bar. So I'm kind of leaning against the bed and balancing myself. But after a while, I realize, by golly, I'm getting better at this. I'm getting stronger. When my leg couldn't possibly have supported me. And I would have just toppled over a year ago. Now I'm standing, almost independently and dressing myself. And so that's an accomplishment. And I'm seeing when I'm lying down on my bed, I used to be able to really throw my body and be able to move my right leg a little bit more on or off the bed depending upon what I was maneuvering. And now I'm able to hold my foot, heel, leg, the whole thing. I can't bend my leg yet, but I can hold my entire leg off the bed about 6-8 inches and hold it there for several seconds. Now I could not do that. About a month and a half ago, I could not do that.
Cool
So
stuff.
I'm getting stronger. So, and I attribute it to the focus of this challenge.
I think one of the things you said right in the beginning that's really powerful, Roland, was all of the talk that you were putting out there around holding the guitar, the pick in your hands, strumming, all the joy about it, all the happiness about it, all the positive feeling around it. And I think that that's one of the things that when we're making a change that's going to be beneficial to us, we should be feeling that. We should be experiencing that. And like with what Ross is doing, and Ross, I'm not sure what happened to you with the massage and the sounding, but one of the most powerful pieces that people must walk away from my classes with is that it's not about what it sounds like. These little things get us in trouble when we talk about sounding in the sense of treatment and healing, because it's not about how it sounds, it's about how it feels. And when he was talking about all that feeling the joy, I was thinking, and that's exactly how it should feel. Everything that we're taking on that's going to change our world for the better should feel joyful like that. And I mean, I even have in the Eyes of Light CD, there's a couple tracks in there, and I have a friend who took my class, and she's a beautiful vocalist. She's a powerful singer. And she did not say to me until I revealed in a class that some of those tracks are dissonant. They're not harmonic and beautifully, sounding to the ear. And she goes, I wondered why you did that track that way. I didn't like that track. it's like she got all on me when I revealed it. But I said, it's not about sounding good. It's about, and you tell me, how did that track affect you? She said, it unsettles me. I said, yes, it breaks free what needs to come loose in order to get a new pattern. And so it's not so much about sounding pretty to the ear. It's about how does it feel. And it needs to feel movement, feel good, feel happy, And so that's one of those things. I just think it's interesting to me how we'll get all caught up with how it sounds. It's all about the joy. It's all about how it feels.
If you remember, Cheryl, when we started out, the first time you sent me a set of tracks, one of the first things that I responded to you was that it sounded like you were singing flat.
Yeah.
Or sharp. It was like a little bit off, and I couldn't figure out what the heck. Yeah. It's like, this is a lady that I assumed had perfect pitch. And I thought, why is this? And then I also realized later that somehow I was attuning myself to the dissonance, and after a while it felt right, even though I knew it was still whatever fraction out of tune and stuff, but I was becoming in tune with the concept of what I was listening to, and somehow I was then absorbing the vibration, and it was changing my physiology accordingly.
Yeah. And ultimately sometimes that is necessary for big change. It is necessary to, and this is what Carla was talking about. Sometimes you're going to feel pain. Sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally exactly. Hangout. In a totally different hangout, we were discussing this, and the concept is that with pain, something always comes along and teaches us. Somehow, the pain teaches us, and if we lock in the concept of the name of this show, what is the positive? Even if you're in pain, you have to ask, okay, I'm in pain. What is the positive? And there's a benefit that comes to it. Even if it's an adjustment after the fact, after the pain goes away, you think and feel differently than you did before the pain, or you're aware of something more than you were before, or you're struggling with the difference until you figure it out. But something changed, definitely something changed. So if we keep on looking for the solution and the change and to recognize it and allow it to guide us to our next move, then we have that's what living is all about.
I think if we stop judging everything as good or bad and just accept that it is, and know that somewhere within it there's a blessing, it's just up to us to figure out where the opportunity lies. That's a big shift. That's focusing on the positive.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Well,
I'm glad you put that together just like that. Thank you, George.
Yeah. Well, it's like your pepper and salt, and you know the things that are the opposites, the yin and yang. It all is created to be in a balance. So that's what we're trying to attain. It's what my view of life is. We're learning. To be able to learn, you do need the instances created there for that potential of awareness that we're going to gain. Different ways of doing things, letting go stuff that doesn't serve our purpose here, and that sort of thing. So that really does resonate with me as far as the dissonance and then gaining the resonance. And no, for me, Shira, too, the voice doesn't have to sound pretty, because I don't sing stuff. I mean, I do sing, but to me, it doesn't sound like much, and I don't care. I sing for my own enjoyment, or I let the voice out in whatever it comes out as that is in its healing form. I don't question it, I just go with it now. So I'm following whatever is inside that needs to come out for that person. So yeah, it's not really just to sound pretty or be something that's good to the ear. Yeah, like you've discussed, it is that needs to come out from something that's not what we perceive as good, negative, or the rest, because I don't like using those terms much either. But for language, we have to use something so that we can understand each other.
yeah.
Try this one.
Ross, there's one thing as well. The Aussies have got a great statement. As far as I know, it's a famous Aussie one. No worries, mate. She'll be right. Doesn't matter what it is, right? It'll be right.
Or was that a guy talking about his wife? Excuse. Yeah. Okay. That was a Gulf War. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm curious with Wee-Wei if he's actually experienced.
Absolutely. I was going to go to the same spot, Shira, but I wanted to thank Roz for expressing what you did, because this is exactly what I was looking for. It's like what you've been engaged in just a few days, and the change of entering the challenge. It's changing the way you think about yourself and what you want to achieve. And that's the start of expansion for each of us. We want to go there. So Wee-Wei, you've been the most diligent person in the generation of executing this challenge, and you've been fervently doing more than is required. So what I would like to know is what your extended results are and experience that you're feeling, and what do you hope to gain out of this?
Hope to gain, I don't know. Whatever comes, everything happens for a reason. So, but I have seen one of the changes I have seen is I seem to be more calm. I used to get upset with every little thing.
Really? As of the last 2 weeks, you mean?
Yeah, I have seen that I am more calmer. Upsetting things still do happen, and then I say, okay.
Okay, it's a miracle, ladies and gentlemen. You know,
Hey, it's
I
coming
love it
when
because one of the things that we want to achieve is peacefulness, serenity, and balance. And it seems to me that this is already something that you're moving in on, and that you're gaining a confidence because you're executing more of your will and what you want to do, and you're feeling like you're accomplishing something,
Hmm.
and in conquering a part of the challenge, that's giving you a personal confidence that wasn't there before. So, either way you look at it, any way you look at it, you're gaining because of your own self improvement, and for you to be more calm means there's less conflict going on inside of you. It's the same stuff all around you going on that's been going on before you started the challenge, but the way you're receiving it and interpreting it and responding to it has apparently changed.
Yeah. I do have one question for Shira actually.
Okay.
Do do I need to when I go to when I sleep with the music playing, I have a small I have a tablet and the speakers on it are not that strong.
Mhm. Yes.
Is that enough, or do I have to use my?
No, no, you're fine with it just like that. Many times, and this is the way I do my sound. When I put my frequency tracks on at night, I put them low enough that I can just barely hear them. It's
Mhm.
like I don't need all that full frequency in my ears because the frequencies are being carried in the waveform and they're entering me. And they're not just entering our ears, they're entering every cell of our being. And
Mhm.
so and sometimes when clients have like really hard patterns that they can't break free, trying to listen to those tracks unsettles them. It makes them uneasy and they don't like it. And so I'll tell them turn it all the way down so they can't hear it with their ears. Let it play, but have it so low that you can't hear it with your ears. And so then that frequency starts to come into the body, and the body is more accepting than you are in your hearing. And so after
Mhm.
a couple of days of having it down really, really low, the body will get easy with it, and then you can hear it, and it doesn't bother you. So what you're doing is fine, and it doesn't have to have a lot of volume. You don't have to hear all the sounds. It's cool.
Thank you.
So,
And, and I really wanted to honor, what's happening with you. Because I don't know if you're familiar, Wayne Dyer once talked about the proverbial orange. When you squeeze an orange, what do you get?
Mhm.
You get orange juice, not lemon juice, not milk. You get orange juice. So when you are getting frustrated about everything in your space, it has nothing to do with your space. It has to do with what's inside. So what you are doing is shifting up what's inside and becoming more peaceful and calmer and more at ease with who you are so that the outside world doesn't shake you every time something happens. And I just think that's amazing and wonderful. I mean, kudos. That's just good stuff.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
that's very cool. I like this concept of your testimonial that you're feeling more calm because that's what everyone is trying to achieve in the midst of this chaotic lifestyle. And obviously, the stress for people, every single one of us could find a reason to be stressed right now if we wanted to. Uh, we would start thinking about what's going on, and the bottom line is like somebody is going to latch on to like, oh, there's global warming. What am I going to do? And they'll stress about that. But I mean, we have family, we have friends, we have circumstances around us. We don't have to think about global warming in order to find something to be stressed about. And yet, by the converse of that is that with everything going on, we can find peace. And the peace, finding peace does not mean that we are going to respond to any given situation a different way or the wrong way. We're still who we are, and we're still, as a matter of fact, we're the best or the better part of who we are, so we can respond better. So what do we want to be? The stressed out person that's going nuts, or just a totally capable person who can set everything on the shelf and deal with what's right in front of them right now? So the concept of meditation, stilling the thinking in your mind down to one spot on the wall, or one word or one phrase, repeating it over and over again. The idea is eliminating all the noise other than the mantra or the thing that you're saying or the spot on the wall or whatever it is, until you're not thinking about those other things. And if you're not thinking about those other things, you're not holding on to negativity. And when you don't do that, you're free to be positive. And less negative is positive. And so when you're not attaching yourself to the negative and thinking about the negative, you have an opportunity to do what's natural for your global, solar, universal being, and that is to rise up and glow.
You actually will get to the point, too, as you practice it, that some of these things will actually become humorous to you. You will literally see the funny side of them. You know, just last week, George and I had watched it was a YouTube video, Matt Kahn, and he was talking about this, you know, how, you know, simple things can irritate you. You know, somebody wants to write a check in the grocery store instead of using a card. It's like, oh, God, great, 2 more minutes, now we have to wait for the check to go through that little thing, and we're getting all freaked out. And right after we watched that, I go to the grocery store. And it ended up to be hysterical. I'm kind of in a hurry. I'm just getting one thing, and I'm grabbing the thing, and I get in line, and a woman who works there comes up behind me and says, "Hey, miss, there's a much shorter line right up here." So she takes me out, and she puts me in another line. Now, I'm standing here in the other line, and there's one woman in front of me here with not a lot in her cart. But while I'm standing there, somebody taps me on the shoulder, and she doesn't speak English. She's Spanish speaking, and she's going, she's pointing to the woman in front of me. And I said, "Are you with her?" She goes, I said, "Oh, okay, go ahead." So I pull out, and she goes in front of me, and she's got a whole cart of stuff. So now, now somebody else, and I'm thinking, oh, that's cute. That was very interesting. And at this point, it's a little funny to me. Now I'm standing in this line, and a guy who works at the store comes up and does the same thing to me the woman does. "Miss, there's a much shorter line right up here." He walks me up, and as he's putting me in this other line, a woman charges out in front of me with a full cart and goes in, and he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Oh my God, that's
like,
funny.
No,
I'm like, no. Off in my first long line.
Oh my God, I'm like, oh, no biggie, and I'm literally at this point, I'm going, universe, this is good. This is really good. And so then he goes to me, "Well, come down here, and I'll check you out of the self-check." I'm like, you know what? It's not a problem. I'll just stay right here. I'm all good.
Thanks,
and I'm sitting there. I'm laughing inside. There was a time that would have pissed me off.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun, but I'm going to stay where I am. You know?
You know, the machine will probably blow up if we go down there, and that'll be twice as long trying to get this one thing. Forget it. But it was just it was one of those. It gave me an opportunity to see that I can be enjoyed with anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I love that, and I was totally relating to it because I used to work as a bagger in a very, very busy grocery store. And back then, if a grocery store, you know, the 70s, back then if a grocery store had 10 checkouts, that was a big store. And so we had 10 checkouts. We were the busiest store, apparently, on the West Coast. And this was in Fresno, California, and that was considered the West Coast region at the time. But we used to bag groceries so fast at that store. But the issue was we used to see this time and time again all day long. Come on over here, well, I'll help you over here. And then you go over, they get pulled into the next line, and maybe somebody else follows them in. And then something happens and says, "Oh, this check doesn't go through. I can't accept this check." It's like, oh, well, crap. You know, let me pull out a credit card. Well, no, I'm sorry, this is not working too. The people are standing there just waiting for them to process this small order, and they can't even get through the line. And
exactly.
So it's just, humanity is a comedy. This is a comedy, and we should actually look at it from that point of view more often. And we could have a lot of fun with it.
Good. Our life flows so much easier if we can really look for the humor in it. You know, it's just a sweet place to be.
Yeah, if you think, gee, I'm on a time schedule, I've got to get this done, I've got cooking to do, I've got to get this, I got to pick up the kids, I got to do this, and you think about that, and okay, so you're late 5 minutes,
Yeah.
but the problem is you walk away and you're mad for an hour. You dwell
Or
in,
sometimes days. People will hold on
no
to that
kidding, yeah,
days.
and you're in this vibration of anger, and this is part of what I'm trying to conquer with the concept of what is a positive. It's like no matter what you experience, look at it like what is a positive. If nothing else, drop it, but don't attach yourself to the negative. So when you think of what is a positive, sometimes you're better off just saying a neutral zone, let's walk, and
Yeah.
then just go on your way and don't take the negative with you. So the meditation and this focusing on the mantra and doing this just before sleep, so that you don't give yourself an extra hour or two to put yourself in a bad mood after all that good stuff. Excuse me. So anyway, the objective of today was basically to get a bit of reporting done from the people constituents in the challenge, and I see that there's progress. I'm really dying to see. I shouldn't say it like that. I'm very interested in knowing what Misty's experience is. She's standing on her head 30 days in a row, and her first day, I don't know how she's doing after that, but I think she's sticking with the challenge. But she's doing, uh, if she corresponds the same time that she spent the first day, 2.5 minutes or more on her head. Now, even when I was in great health and a better display of male humanness and playing 2 or 3 hours of racquetball 3 days a week, even when I was doing that, you couldn't get me on my head. There's no way. And a roller
It's
coaster
really
that
good
turns
for the
me
body.
upside down, that's a big no-no. So I'm not built for being upside down. Matter of fact, even those things where you lock your feet in those big weighted boots and hang upside down drives me nuts. Can't do
I
it.
love
Cannot do it. So I'm a right side up kind of person. That's how I'm going to stay, and that is my choice. But anyway, we're getting off the subject, I guess. But the one thing that we expressed that I think that I want to exemplify today is whatever we're doing in our challenge, let's be joyous about it. Let's make part of the what we're doing, how we're changing, to be joyous and to be better off in that respect alone. Because if we are better in that respect alone, our life's going to improve. If we are happier because of the challenge, our lives improve. Now, how much and how they change, that's up to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're 10 minutes over the hour. I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you very much, WeWake and Roz, for joining us. And of course, our
it.
hosts,
To meet you both. Truly.
and Shira, George, and Carlo. Thank you very much for being here too. You guys inspire me. So,
Thank you.
and so now we are signing off from What is the Positive.
Hasta la vista.
Namaste.
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 Thank you, guys.